Welcome to English Mirror. There are many ways to crack UGC Net. And if you ask me, the easiest way is to go through the previous year's exam question papers. That will help you to familiarize question patterns and the areas of importance. Here, we start with the latest one, NTA Net conducted in December 2019. And this is the first part of it. This will really help you to achieve your goal. Let's continue. The first question is, which among the following group of writers is labeled as university wits? The answer is option number 4, Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash. University wits, the notable group of pioneer English dramatists who wrote during the last 15 years of the 16th century and who transformed the native interlude and chronicle play with their plays of quality and diversity. The university wits include Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, and Thomas Nash, all graduates of Cambridge, as well as Thomas Lodge and George Peele, both of Oxford. Another of the wits, though not university trained, was Thomas Kidd. Preceded by John Lilly, an Oxford man, they prepared the way for William Shakespeare. The greatest poetic dramatist among them was Marlowe, whose handling of blank verse gave the theatre its characteristic voice for the next 50 years. The second question is, which cultural analyst has combined the study of different dimensions of youth culture with commentary on developments in cultural theory and politics? Answer is Angela McRobbie. Angela McRobbie, born in 1951, is a British cultural theorist, feminist, and commentator whose work combines the study of popular culture, contemporary media practices, and feminism through conceptions of a third person reflexive gaze. She is a professor of communications at Goldsmiths College, University of London. Postmodernism and Popular Culture, that is one of her major works. In that particular work, she brings together 11 recent essays which deals with the issues which have dominated culture studies over the last 10 years. A key theme is the notion of postmodernity as a space for social change and political potential. McRobbie explores everyday life as a site of immense social and psychic complexity to which she argues that cultural studies scholars must return through ethnic and empirical work, the sound of living voices and spoken language. She also argues for feminists working in the field to continue to question the place and meaning of feminist theory in a postmodern society. In addition, she examines the new youth cultures as images of social change and signs of profound social transformation. Next question is from research area. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other one is labeled as reason. Only actual research develops research skills. Reasons. Information is discrete, whereas knowledge consists of a network of connections. In the light of the above two statements, choose the correct option. And the answer is option 2. Both A and are true and is not the correct explanation of A. The fourth question is, Which of the following is a collaborative work of W.H. Auden and Christopher Isherwood? Answer is option 3, The Ascent of F6. The Ascent of F6, poetic drama by W.H. Auden and Christopher Isherwood, published in 1936 and performed in 1937. F6 is an unconquered mountain in the Himalayan range. An experienced and renowned climber named Michel Ransom leads an expedition of fellow Britons up the slope of F6 in competition with a group of climbers from a different country. In the end, all Ransom's climbers perish. Ransom dies when he reaches the peak. After realizing that his accession to other people's ambitions has contributed to his destruction. Who among the following prose writers of the Romantic period authored On Murder Considered as One of the Fine Arts? The answer is option 3, Thomas de Quincey. Remember, On Murder Considered as One of the Fine Arts is an essay by Thomas de Quincey, first published in 1827 in Blackwood's magazine. The essay is a fictional satirical account of an address made to a gentleman's clerk concerning the aesthetic appreciation of murder. Remember, aesthetic appreciation of murder. It focuses particularly on a series of murders allegedly committed in 1811 by John Williams in the neighborhood of Ratcliffe Highway, London. Moreover, the essay was enthusiastically received and led to numerous sequels. These essays have exerted a strong influence on subsequent literary representations. You have to remember that point too. Then, De Quincey also refers to the Williams murders in his On the Knocking at the Gate in Macbeth. Sixth question from Romantic period. In which of the following essays did Charles Lamb use the pseudonym or persona Ilia? Answer is The South Sea House. Remember, Lamb's Essays of Ilia appeared in Lenten magazine in 1820. The South Sea House is the first essay in the collection Essays of Ilia. Lamb was a clerk in the examiner's office at South Sea House from September 1791 to February 1792. So, this essay reveals Lamb's reminiscence of the South Sea House. Here he portrays with words the past glory of the South Sea House, which is now fallen into neglect. Seventh question. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion, that means A, and the other one is labeled as reason, that means R. Assertion. Many modern British writers infused their works with an entrance sense of uncertainty, disillusionment, and despair. Reasons. The wasteland ends in a hurry of random allusions. In the light of the above two statements, choose the correct option. And the answer is option 2. Both A and are true and is not a correct explanation of A. The eighth question is from Indian English Literature. Which of the following work was published after 1947? And the answer is Sampath, a Printer of Malgudi. Mr. Sampath, the Printer of Malgudi is a 1949 novel by R.K. Narayan. Mr. Sampath, the Printer of Malgudi is a story of a businessman who adapts to the collapse of his weekly newspaper by shifting to screenplays, only to have the glamour of it all go to his head. The novel is made up of two parts. A first part dealing with the publication of a newspaper and centered on Mr. Sampath, and a second part focused on movie production and centered on Mr. Srinivas. Ninth question from American literature. Which one of the following observations of lost generation, a term coined by Gertude Stein, is correct? Answer is option 2. The American expatriates in Europe after the First World War. Lost Generation, a group of American writers who came of age during World War I and established their literary reputations in the 1920s. The term is also used more generally to refer to the post-World War I generation. The generation was lost in the sense that its inherited values were no longer relevant in the post-war world, and because of its spiritual alienation from a United States that basking under press. Warren G. Harding's back to normalcy policy seems to its members to be hopelessly provincial, materialistic, and emotionally barren. The term embraces Ernest Hemingway, Scott Fitzgerald, John Dos Passos, E. E. Cummings, Archibald MacLeish, Hart Crane, and many other writers who made Paris the center of their literary activities in the 1920s. They were never a literary school. Gertrude Stein is credited for the term lost generation, though Hemingway made it widely known. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion, that means A, and the other is labeled as reason, that means R. Assertion. Dialects are the broad range of social as well as regional varieties. Reason. A dialect describes variations not only at the phonological level but also at the levels of text and syntax. In the light of the above two statements, choose the correct option. The answer is option 2. Both A and R are true and is not the correct explanation of A. A dialect is a form of a language that people speak in a particular part of a country, containing some different words and grammar, etc. The term dialect is often used to characterize any way of speaking that differs from the standard variety of a language, which is largely considered to be dialect free. For example, the surviving Old English documents are traditionally attributed to four different major dialects: Kentish, West Saxon, Mercian, Northumbrian. 11th question is from 18th century. Which of the following work by Henry Fielding begins as a parody of Samuel Richardson's Pamela? Answer is option 4, Joseph Andrews. Actually, Joseph Andrews, in full, the history of the adventures of Joseph Andrews and of his friend Mr. Abraham Adams, novel by Henry Fielding, published in 1742. Remember, 1742. It was written as a reaction against Samuel Richardson's novel Pamela, or Virtue Rewarded, which was published in 1740. Fielding portrayed Joseph Andrews as the brother of Pamela Andrews, the heroine of Richardson's novel. Described on the title page as written in imitation of the manner of Cervantes, author of Don Quixote, Joseph Andrews begins as a burlesque of Pamela, but the parodic intention of the novel soon becomes secondary, and it develops into a masterpiece of sustained irony and social criticism. At its center is Parson Adams, one of the great comic figures of literature. 12th question is from linguistics. Which of the following statements is correct? And the answer is option 1. Langue is the language system and parole the individual usage. Remember, in short, langue is the system of language, all the possible rules that make up the language in theory. Parole, on the other hand, is how these rules are put into action by the speakers of that language. Remember this point. Next question is from criticism. Of the five conditions of the sublime, according to Longinus, the most important condition is, and the answer is option 3, a lofty cast of mind. Please remember, in his text he detailed five sources of sublime. According to Longinus, there are five principal sources of the sublime. These sources are: first one, grandeur of thought; second one, strong emotion; third one, the use of figures; fourth one, noble diction; and the fifth one is dignified composition. According to him, the grandeur of thought and strong emotion is inborn gifts of nature. The rest three sources are the gifts of art. Again, question from linguistics. What is the correct chronological order of the publication of the following? And the answer is option 3. Remember, Rasmus Rask was a Danish linguist and philologist. He wrote several grammars and worked on comparative phonology and morphology. Franz Bopp was a German linguist known for extensive and pioneering comparative work on Indo-European languages. Jacob Karl Grimm, also known as Ludwig Karl, was a German philologist, jurist, and mythologist. He is well known as the discoverer of Grimm's law of linguistics, the co-author of monumental works, and the editor of Grimm's fairy tales. He was the older brother of Wilhelm Grimm of the literary duo the Brothers Grimm. 15th question. The following is a list of key critical terms. Which is the right chronological order of the formulation? And the answer is option 2, the unconscious, langue-heresy of paraphrase-difference. Remember, the term unconscious was coined by the 18th century German romantic philosopher Friedrich Schelling and later introduced into English by the poet and essayist Samuel Taylor Coleridge in his Biographia Literaria. Along with that, about the formulation of the term, in Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory of personality, the unconscious mind is defined as a reservoir of feelings, thoughts, urges, and memories. Remember that too. Then the second term, langue. In linguistics and language, langue is an abstract system of signs in contrast to parole, the individual expressions of language. And the third one, the heresy of paraphrase, is the title of a chapter in The Well-Wrought Urn, published in 1947, a seminal work of the new criticism by Clement Brooks. Brooks argued that meaning in poetry is irreducible because a true poem is a simulacrum of reality, an experience rather than any mere statement about experience or any mere abstraction from experience. And the last one, but very important, difference is a French term coined by Jacques Derrida. It is a central concept in Derrida's deconstruction, a critical outlook concerned with the relationship between text and meaning. The term difference, remember, means a difference and deferral of meaning. The 16th question is connected with Shakespearean works. Which of the following characters in Shakespeare's Love's Labour's Lost overuses formal Latinate diction? And the answer is option 1, Holofernes. Remember, Holofernes is a pedant and the local school teacher. He is highly respected by Nathaniel the curate and others for his learning and his abilities with the language. He is horrified at changes in the language and what he regards as mispronunciations and uses them as an excuse to look down the users. 17th question. Which of the following has two heroes with the same name? And the answer is option 4, Armadale. Armadale is a novel by Wilkie Collins, first published in 1864 to 1866. It is the third of his four great novels of 1860s. Parts of the novel consist of letters between the various characters. Other chapters record the events as the characters perceive them. The novel has a convoluted plot about two distant cousins, both named Alan Armadale. The father of one had murdered the father of the other, also both called Alan Armadale. 18th question is connected with T.S. Eliot. Remember, which of the following plays by T.S. Eliot is in the correct chronological order of publication? And the answer is option 1. Murder in the Cathedral, The Family Reunion, The Cocktail Party, The Confidential Clerk. Remember, Murder in the Cathedral was published in 1935. The Family Reunion published in 1939. The Cocktail Party published in 1949. The Confidential Clerk published in 1953. The 19th question is about Michel Foucault. Which of the following describes Foucault's views on knowledge? Answer is option 3. Knowledge is not pure or neutral, but is always from a point of view. Remember, Michel Foucault was a French historian and philosopher associated with structuralist and post-structuralist movements. He has had strong influence not only in philosophy but also in a wide range of humanistic and social scientific disciplines. 20th question. Which of the following periods of English literature is also called Puritan Interregnum? Answer is option 2, the Caroline Age. The Caroline era refers to the period in English and Scottish history named for the 24th year reign of Charles I. That means 1625 to 1649. The term is derived from Carolus, the Latin for Charles. The Caroline era followed the Jacobin era, the reign of Charles' father James I and James VI, overlapped with English Civil War, and was followed by the English Interregnum until the Restoration in 1660. It should not be confused with the Caroline era, which refers to the reign of Charles I's son King James II. 21st question. Which of the following fictional characters is in the right chronological order? Answer is option 3, Man Friday, Uncle Toby, Miss Havisham, Stephen Dedalus. Man Friday is from the novel Robinson Crusoe, published in 1719 by Daniel Defoe. Uncle Toby from the novel The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, and also known as just Tristram Shandy. It's a novel by Lawrence Sterne, published in 1759. And the third one, Miss Havisham, is a character in the Charles Dickens novel Great Expectations, published in 1861. And remember, she is a wealthy spinster, once jilted at the altar, who insists on wearing her wedding dress for the rest of her life. And the fourth one, Stephen Dedalus, is from the novel A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, published in 1960. Next question from Indian English again. Who among the following has written a series of poems entitled Very Indian Poems in Indian English? Answer is option 3, Nissim Ezekiel. Ezekiel's Very Indian Poem in Indian English reveals his Indianness and the use of very typical Indian English. Remember, it is a poem where narrator is literate but not highly educated. The poem is full of Indianism with little mistakes in grammar and usage. 23rd question. Who made the remark, great literature is simply language charged with meaning to the utmost possible degree? Answer is option 2, Ezra Pound. Probably you remember Ezra Pound is connected with modernism. Great literature is simply language charged with meaning to the utmost possible degree. The statement was introduced by Ezra Pound, remember, in his book ABC of Reading, which was published in 1934. Question number 24. Which of the following stylistic features characterize spoken discourse? And the answer is option 4, B and D. B is greater dependence on verbal connectives and D is greater use of fillers and repetitions. 25th question is connected with Wuthering Heights. Which two of the correctly describe the features of Wuthering Heights? The answer is option 3, that means A and D. A is flashbacks and time shifts. D is acute evocation of place. These two aspects are central to Wuthering Heights, remember, especially time shift. The shift between Lockwood and Nelly's narratives also represents a shift between past and present. That is key to the text. And also you can also add one more thing. For example, the gloomy setting. The choice of setting is another significant narrative technique. The moods are dark, stormy and gloomy, which reflects the tone of the story. So there are many aspects, among them these two are central to the text. Hope this is clear. The next part will come soon. Thank you for watching this video.